Okay, cool. In five, four, three, two.
Why?
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Corner Flag Talk podcast. To be fair, the deal was he scored, but given that the fact that he assists, I feel like I could include it in the video. I wouldn't put it as the intro. I'll just include it in the video. Hope everybody's doing well on this Sunday as we entered into the international break. That makes it two international breaks so far for this season. That Arsenal are sending Manchester based fans into 2 weeks of studying a loss later on in the game. I here with me with Virgil, who's manfully cover. Like other people after they drop points this weekend. Virgil was a good my guy.
Just know over here as Thanksgiving, so you're just trying to
It
enjoy.
is.
I try to enjoy some time with family. I try and enjoy my Thanksgiving, and then one thing must come and just spoil the day. But other than that, I chilling.
We have Brandon, fresh off of 3 wins in a row. Brandon was a good my guy.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Do you know what? I actually think this is probably one of the best ways we could go into the international break because I feel like everything went not according to plan. So we have so many things to
Mm,
talk about. So that's
we
I
do.
really I excited about it.
Okay, guys. So I am letting you all know that look. I know this kind of how all the pods is be, but more so this pod than all the rest is like this pod will be even more prem centric than most of them because of how much things has developed. Not just over this last week, this weekend going here, but also because of the implications the last month has had, and the international break gives us time to reflect and look back on where things have been going. In terms of upcoming content, so Brandon, I not seen yeah, just by the way.
I hear.
I know, but I don't know when with your camera.
Okay.
You seen him, would you?
Nah, it's showing on the Zencastr
Are you
right
seeing me now?
Oh, yeah, I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So this week, normal content. This will also be on YouTube, as last week's episode was on YouTube. I feel like I deserve some props though, because we actually have been getting stuff reaching YouTube more this season so far, and that will continue. Next week we'll be having at least one special segment, which would be extreme takes based on the 8 games so far this season, and like the two European games that you've had. We're gonna do some extreme takes that we might take about come the end of the season. It doesn't have to be entirely based in 100% logic, but just a fun conversation about some of the stuff we've seen so far this season. So, without further ado, we get it. Arsenal versus Manchester City, first versus second from last season. There's no better place for us to start. And before we get into like moments of the game and stuff like that, we'll get some oversight onto how the game went. Virgil, we thought about it, bro.
Honestly, I understand, like, from a neutral point of view, people could look at that and be like, it's a very boring game, but I know for both sets of fans, it's a very cagey game. Both fans
Real.
would like to say that there's on the edge of the seat watching, because there's a lot of moments, a lot of like individual moments that are exciting, some controversial as well. But honestly, for the game on a whole, I will definitely say that it was entertaining to watch. Honestly, there are some comments I will have towards my team, honestly, and similar sentiments was made by some of our players where they felt that second half we were very passive. We felt like we were playing with Arsenal a little too much. We felt like we weren't really trying to be you know as clinical as we could be. We felt like we kind of took our foot off the gas, honestly, and many moments in the latter stages of the game, I was honestly more confident that it would be a draw, a nil-nil draw, than it would be for us to take the 3 points. I felt
Hmm.
like I felt
Hmm.
like as I felt like the only way a positive result come for City would be a draw. And the way how the goal happened, I felt like that is the way I expected it to happen. I honestly was not surprised by that. I felt like from that moment that really summed the entire game for me.
Mm. Yeah, and I feel the same way. I think when you look at the fact that these are two coaches that obviously know each other very well, and they have a lot of similarities in terms of the play styles. That it was a game where, because of where both teams are and have been, especially Arsenal over last year, but have been the season and the narratives and stuff like that and recent results, both managers just didn't want to lose more than anything else. Like, especially Pep, I think, if you had to offer him to walk out there with a draw, then, like, from the start of the game, I think he might have actually taken it. Not out of fear of Arsenal or anything like that,
Mhm.
but rather that so far he's had 3 games to go without with Rodri, and up to this point, of those 3 games, he's lost 2. I don't think he wanted to risk another loss, not just for results, which is obviously the most important thing, but also narratives and stuff like that heading forward, and questions about him and his squad and his ability to deal with important players missing. And you can see that with the way the team set up. Even as the substitutions were happening, nobody was doing anything risky, like subbing off a defender for an extra midfielder or attacker or anything like
Yeah.
that. Everything was about keeping it within our control as much as we can. I think the first half, as you rightly said, was very cagey, not as intense, not as exciting. I think the second half we showed a lot more impetus. City's last shot of that game was in the 58th minute of their 4 shots in total.
Mhm.
And after that, I think we started to grow in the game more and more. And this was, it's something that is used a lot sometimes in football, but this was a chess match esque game to me, where Arteta effectively, for the first time, and get results with countered what Pep did in terms of the substitutions to be able to swing the game, to put himself in a position to get that little luck he needed to get a result in the end. Because it was Arteta subs that changed it. And somebody said that Arteta did really well to make this a 20-minute game. And I think that is actually pretty true. That we
Mhm.
kept the game to a certain state till about like 70 minutes. And when the subs came on, that they were the ones who actually won the game for us. A long ball from substitute party, headed on from substitute Tomiyasu, laid off by substitute Havertz, scored off of Ake by substitute Martinelli. And I will fully admit, when the lineups came out, I was like, nah, I'm not able with this. Because I can't lie, there's no realm that you had asked me. I was starting Jorginho and Nketiah in this game. But credit to the coach. He played it perfectly. He played it well. And finally, though, like finally, in the league, this is another ghost that we getting past, hopefully. Well, hopefully that we did, you know? And they had the excuses already. We had our excuses of not getting a result. We didn't have Saka. We wasn't sure how fit Martinelli was, whatever. And we still got the result. So, from a neutral point of view, Brandon, what did you think?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Remember a few days ago we were talking about who has more pressure on them going into this game, and I
Mm,
told you that I find it was kind of funny that everybody thinks it's Arsenal when it actually should be City, in my opinion.
mm,
And this is exactly why. So even before the game, I watched Arsenal's bench and I was like, you know what? That's a real strong bench, boy. I would bring on any of those players to
mm-hmm,
solve any one of my problems in the game.
mm-hmm,
And that is exactly what happened today. Like the weakness that was exposed today in City is that there are teams now that have the depth and have the quality of depth that they have. And
mm,
that's the only thing that was their biggest strength for the last few years. No
mm-hmm.
teams had that before, and today, as you said, all the substitutes combined to score the winning goal, and that's exactly what your depth needs to do for you. From a game point of view, I personally didn't like watching the game. I didn't find it was very exciting when
Yeah,
Martinelli
it
came
wasn't.
on.
Yeah.
When Martinelli came on, the game changed because I think Martinelli is the game changer for Arsenal. So once he's on the
Yeah.
pitch, they can win the game at any point in time.
Yeah.
So apart from that, I don't think a lot of players had outstanding performances in the attacking parts of the field.
Mm-hmm.
But defensively, oh my goodness, what a game from
Yeah.
Declan Rice. What a game from Saliba. What a game from Gabriel. I thought Ben White was fantastic today.
Mm.
So, and looking at it from a City point of view, and I want to ask Virgil this one as well. Like,
Mhm.
not having KDB, not having Rodri. Like, can you rely on these fringe players that you have in the squad to keep you where you're at right now? Because it doesn't seem that way today. Because like even Kovacic should have not been on the pitch, and that's that you could have lost some more depth there. So I mean, this is that a concern for you?
Okay, honestly, with that, it all comes down to control because I feel like really from that game we really needed more control in the midfield, and I feel like you're seeing without having Rodri, without having De Bruyne, but I don't just go as far and say okay we just need them. I felt like we have the personnel, we could do it, but something about the lineup, and I just say in certain moments you have certain moments where you're seeing that the control is not there because even for Kovacic, Dan, you on a yellow card. Why you going to ground with a yellow card? It's like come on, like we need to keep our head there. Even the likes of having to rely on
And how
uh,
that any different? So how Jota get sent off last week?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly that is true. Like I literally watching that and we literally saying that should be our second yellow. We like Dan, why are you literally going to ground? And even and now looking at it, even with the other players.
which before you go
Yeah,
on, you know what real upset me in that moment is that the
what's that?
foul happened, right? He called the foul, but the first thing he's studying to do, the referee, was to say
Mhm.
no, it's not yellow, no, it's not a yellow. Like you call the foul, and like you predetermined that no, I'm not going to send off the player, but he's made two extremely reckless and dangerous moves. Like how
Yeah,
it is you are predetermined that before, like you're assessing it in your head. Like it was so quick to say no, not yellow. That had really irritated me. Like to be fair, I think that there were grounds for the first one to be read on itself, but I still think that fair enough that might have been harsh. But
yeah.
still, that was from the back. His stance was high. It was above the ankle. He had no right at any point to actually get the ball. But fair enough. You let him get a little getaway on just a yellow. How it is the second one he didn't get yellow, I don't understand.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
yeah. So
Virgil.
that's what I don't understand. But yeah, I feel like if our midfield really just comes down to that control. I mean, and the simple solution is obviously if we could sit down here and say obviously when the Bruyne back because Rodri now is supposed to be back after finished his ban. But we're looking at a longer season. We're looking at obviously times where you can't expect Rodri now to just run out every time, and with De Bruyne is something still with time. I know it. I still feel like we need to find that balance in that midfield because honestly, looking at it, I feel like sometimes the most composed man in that midfield is Alvarez, and he's not even a midfielder.
Hmm. And I think what Brandon asked is so true because I think this spotlight just signed on two Englishmen more than anybody else. And I mean this in the most
Yep.
unbiased way possible. You spent 45 million behind Calvin Phillips for the sole purpose of being Rodri's backup. And he has not
Yep.
started. Did he start in the Carabao Cup? Virgil? I don't know if he started that one. But he did start the two
Nah,
league games.
he didn't. He never start the Carabao Cup too.
So what was the point? Is of getting him in the first place and in the second one? Again, I genuinely mean this. If you look at
Nah, that's
What?
that come through the mic, dog, I don't
For
know
real?
how.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh shit, sorry.
that is okay. And then the second one is Foden because I thought he was super ineffective today, bro. And I thought it
Yep.
was like it was very easy for them. Like as Salik said, no, I remember Salik. I messaged you, I think like a week ago, and I was like, Salik came out. Tommy Yasu to start this game, dog, because I was genuinely concerned about Ben White's 1v1 ability. Fair play, dog. Hey, the man landed the minerals, dog. He on his
You
birthday too, dog. He
man
was
was good.
real good. When he not make Doku, I was like, yeah, you feeling
Yeah,
yourself, dog. You real
yeah.
feeling yourself, dog. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's on Phil Foden because look, we keep saying, Pep just use him, whatever. But like all these years of the dependency on KDB, and rightfully so, right, is KDB. How would you not be dependent on KDB? At no point has, in my opinion, Foden ever been developed into a position where he understands how to take the burden of responsibility for the
Mm-hmm.
City team on and do it on not just a game by game basis, not just a weekly basis, but across months, because that is what he's being charged with KDB being out. And we'll get a performance like the one against Newcastle, and then he'll go some weeks that we'll get against Leipzig, and we don't get it consistently from him. And for somebody who is supposedly supposed to be considered as the best talent since Wayne Rooney, that's not good enough. And we talk about talent all the time now, and like Saleh usually first one to tell me this. We will talk about talent with Dembele all the time, and we use that as an excuse forever and ever and ever to justify including him in certain conversations. When it's time for him to lace up his boots or go there to do it, he doesn't do it. What's the point of having all that talent if when the time the chips are down and you want to be counted on,
Mhm.
we don't get a performance equivocated to that level of talent you supposedly have?
Yeah.
I just wanted to shout out after what Alex said. My two boys in the centre back. So I love them men, Them men are fantastic. And talk about a pairing that genuinely complement to one another. And they really do fit one another like a glove as a pairing. Like whatever qualms you might have about either one. They didn't give Haaland and Alvarez a sniff today at all. No runs off for them, not physically, not 1v1, not anywhere, you know? And these are the games that you really want them to shine. So yeah. Um I forget what he was asking him, Salik, before I had come in with the two English. Well, he was asking what the question about depth, right? From given that KDB and Rodri out. And yeah, I think it's a valid question because this is the first time they haven't played. Well, this period, sorry, this is the first time they haven't played without Rodri in over a year and something now. And it
Yeah.
shows how dependent they are. And
Bro,
people,
this,
people didn't, yeah.
no, this is the first time they've lost back to back games since what is 2000 and
2018.
19,
2018.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
18 or 19. Yeah.
But you know what real scary about that stat? You know what happened that year, Salik? Is that was the year that they lost back to back, right? That was the year they lost to Crystal Palace and Leicester back to
Hmm.
back,
Yeah.
right? You know what they do after that, dog? They
Was that
went
the
and
18 game?
that was an 18 game win
Yeah,
Yeah.
streak to
boy.
beat Liverpool on the last day, dog. Which is why I want to get on record. By no means, in any way, shape, or form, do I think Arsenal are favourites. So I do not. I still believe that City will going to win the league. I don't want anybody thinking that just because we beat them. But what was more important for me as an Arsenal fan, truly, and this is like one, the very simple truth about last season is that now obviously I know football doesn't work this way, right? Like it doesn't directly work this way. But we beat City once last season. Mathematically speaking, we'd have been the title winners. We
Yeah.
were 5 points behind. You win one, take off three for them, I treat you. Very simple maths. That was a big difference in not winning it. You can't go and want to be in title conversations, and it is a given 6 pointer for your title rivals. That is why they call these games 6 point swings, because it makes that big of a gap difference. The other thing is that it was more important for me today, Foster, to win and to win by any means necessary because of getting past those ghosts of the past and getting past thinking that they could walk in here or any team could feel like they could walk in here and is a given that they'll get points. And to show themselves and to show Europe and to show everybody that what we did last season was enough. Sure, we're not as fluid and open and attacking, but guess what? We're more dominant. We're more physically imposing. And we're more of an attitude that you could try and beat us, that way you go and just give up just so. Admittedly saying this after we lost in Lens, but yeah, this happened. So, um, well, I was going to say we could have moved on to moments, but we already seem to be like kind of in unison on the Kovacic thing.
Yeah.
Um, Individual performances. This is the first game, and it is this would have been his 88th game in a row. But obviously he didn't play Bukayo Saka. Was a big miss, and because like I watched what Gabriel do Gavardiol today, and all I was thinking is, bro, this was Saka, somebody who obviously more comfortable just being a right winger and whatever and driving inside, and our real driving force as a player, how different the game could have been. However, I do think Jesus did well in his absence. He was really good against Gavardio 1v1s, and honestly, which I guess is some criticism of him in the past as well, is only when he reached in the box is when the man make like every single wrong decision possible.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I try to figure out where to go with this now. City lost three out of their last four now. The three that Rodrigo wasn't there for. Does this put any concern into us beyond just the depth question? Um, Even regular starters were playing in this game because Bernardo Silva played, Haaland, Alvarez is considered a starter. At no, like outside of the Ake chance that was in the first few minutes, I don't think we could really consider anything City to have created to be a must goal. You know,
Mm.
so are we feeling any concerns about them creativity wise? Their XG hasn't been the best. Now, admittedly, like across the season, but admittedly, like you actually don't really need to be that good when you have arguably the best finisher in the world. But are we feeling any kind of concerns towards them going forward? Also, just one more thing before you jump in, Sally. Last week I had asked the question about are we concerned about Haaland's impact on games because it's been a while since he's had an impact on a game from open play on a goals on a game state. Whether they was losing, they was drawing. Like all his goal contributions from open play this year has come from when they were winning. So concerns any?
No, I was gonna say that Haaland's XG today was actually zero. He
Mm.
had like zero XG, which is I don't know if that ever happened in his career,
I
but
don't
that's
believe
kind
so.
of crazy for somebody
Yeah,
of his quality to have zero XG is pretty concerning. And it says a lot about the way that they're playing right now. They're not looking. I don't know if it's they're not looking for Haaland or they couldn't find him today. I think that was more of the case today that they couldn't find him because Arsenal were able to shut down the positions that they would needed to be in to find Haaland. So I feel like that's one aspect of it, and I also think that Haaland himself needs to, you know, he himself needs to be a little better. Like sometimes I feel like he's just be there waiting for the ball instead of trying to be active in the play and bring his other teammates into the game as well. I don't know if this is another thing too. I think Doku should have started. I don't know
Mm.
if y'all feel the same way, but I
Yeah,
think he should have
yeah,
started. I feel like this is a perfect game to play him in.
yeah, yeah. Because same when I saw the lineup, like when I saw the lineup, my first thought was Doku, but after I saw the Rico Lewis in the midfield, I was like, I understand what Pep trying to do, with how Rico has been playing. But this honestly is not the time for that. If you want, if you don't have the creativity in midfield, you need to show up the midfield and keep that control. That's all.
Oh no.
You see, Andrew?
No, this happens. This happens every time we do a pod like this. Every single time this happens. He'll be back very shortly.
Okay. So I should just continue.
Yeah, you keep talking, bro.
Okay, idea. Yeah, but yeah, cause even for what you mentioned with Doku, because I honestly, when I look at that, I was like, okay, I honestly feel like with this, it should either be Doku, Grealish. At this point, I feel like realistically, it should be that way. And right now, Grealish just doesn't seem like the most effective player. So I really feel like Doku was the one day. And obviously in the midfield too, I felt like Nunez should have played. Maybe we could have tried and go toe to toe with that with the in the midfield battles with Arsenal. But honestly, I don't know. I felt I like at this point I don't want to. I'm not in panic mode. Like I really can't say I'm in panic mode. Like even when you look at Haaland, you look at what going on in the midfield, you look at the lack of creativity. I'm not in panic mode. But at the same time, I feel like I don't know which direction it will swing. Because for Haaland, I honestly don't know if it would mean if he might drop in confidence. I don't know if the players might respond in the right way to this because as you mentioned, there were moments where Haaland dropped back and was contributing to play. He dropped back. He ended up trying to be involved in the game. But at the same time, it felt like that didn't come from okay tackle. So basically, the three things I say is Haaland and what state he in. Basically, the midfield. The rest of the midfield now had to look at itself and say, right now we have to realize we are more than De Bruyne and Rodri. So if everybody else, we talking about the best midfielder, not in the league but in the squad absent, and Rodri, our best holding midfielder there. You all that's an opportunity that any player should jump and grab at. And right now all of them performing very poor. And now we look at look at creativity. That goes for everybody. You have this man Haaland who has proven last season that he could get the goals, and we have Alvarez as well. And you all finishing this game without scoring no goals, 4 shots on target. You all actually that poor. I
Mm.
feel I feel I feel like I have trust in the players, I have trust in the people behind the scenes, but I really hope that they asking themselves those questions honestly, because in the long run, it's going to be look like a problem. Because I feel like at this point, you don't have time to take long to find those answers. Because honestly, I have to say is real good at Liverpool drop points as well. Because if not, we would have going to the international break in fourth.
Hey, dog, that's crazy. Can I say this though? And this sound kind of haters, but I would like to think both of y'all know that I thought this before, so it's not that. But this
Mm-hmm.
is why I don't. Mm, another like precursor before I say what to say. I don't care about the Ballon d'Or. I think it's a very sketchy award that probably should not hold as much weight as it does. But this is why I didn't want Haaland to win the Ballon d'Or. It's because like I don't know if I could. I don't watch him and I ever think like no matter how much goals he scored, that I ever feel like he is the best footballer in the world. You know. Now this is not to say if they give him it, I genuinely would not like care to fight it or whatever. Because I get it. You know, he did score a ridiculous amount. You know, like that's valid and won a treble in the process, right? That obviously contributed to it. But like because like he so can't impact himself on games like this without I you know what we are also being told, right, is like he can't do more than what he's doing now unless he has at least in the Premier League, you know, obviously the Bundesliga is a different question, but at least in the Premier League we can't see more from Holland unless he's playing with um a generational creator then, because he not scoring this season like how he was scoring last year. You know, when he had KDB inside right through, we know KDB is more than just the assist, but feeding other men to be in positions to feed other players back to Haaland and stuff like that. So then now it's questions like that. And I really do wonder if somebody should be seen as the best football player in the world if they are that dependent on others. Even I mean, I know everybody is dependent on each other because of team support, but it's just something I just think about. Um,
But with that way said, is one thing I just want to add to that quick. You know who literally share that same sentiment with you, and literally was basically trying to encourage Haaland to seek those answers
mm,
after the Champions League final. Thierry Henry told him that in an interview,
mm-hmm.
and Henry told him that right he feels that he needs to add more to his game because he's seeing now he dropping back and trying to be involved in other ways, but he
Mm-hmm.
felt that right now he just he have a ceiling that he not breaking really. And what Henry's talking about with him trying to use his right foot more, and obviously there because it seems that he just need a certain type of passes, and if he doesn't get that, he doesn't know how to function. And I feel like
Yeah.
Only De Bruyne could have do that. So another player too to shout out to is Mahrez, because it just so happened that Mahrez was on the side that was favorable to him. I was able to, all when De Bruyne is not able to, you have a magician in Mahrez. With those two
Mm-hmm.
players out, it feels that he needs that world class ball. And you can't expect that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agreed. More on the Arsenal side now. Look, Saliba was insane. I mean, again, I know I said it before. Both centre backs were really good, but the way that Saliba marshaled him, and it's not the first time we saw it, like in the Community Shield. It was the same thing that he managed to starve him to like 6 touches, I think, until he was subbed off in that game. And
Hmm.
today, it was the same kind of thing as well. And you know, these players, like, bro, Declan Rice, but like, imagine that there was a very real scenario, that this summer gone, if Arsenal didn't stick up and put that money on the table, that Roger would have been all these 3 games and they would have just operated like normal because Declan Rice would have subbed in.
Yeah.
And that is why, again, that I think it was so important that we got him if we wanted to be the ones to be in position to dethrone Man City in the future. Because you have to stop them from getting these kinds of players, bro. And he is insane. Like the first half, I thought he was good, but I didn't really think like he was showing himself. And bro, even though he was playing a little further ahead than Jorginho, he is making sure to beat it on around Jorginho in case any set of danger started to happen, he is running with the ball at his feet. He is slight. Now, it have this clip where he slide tackle on one knee, get back up, and started dribble with the ball. No, he is insane. I agree that Jude Bellingham is doing things on an next stratosphere right now, though, for what and setting a very good standard as to what you should be expecting from a 100 million midfielder. But I also think Declan Rice, in his own way, has been showing that he has been worth every single penny that he has been paid for. Um, Other good performances. It was honestly, it was mostly defensive. I am so glad Ben White didn't get stripped of it. I would have been very concerned because, like, this man have like this ridiculous mental block versus Rashford, boy. Like every game, bro. Like Rashford, this dude is bad something, and I just worried. I can't now. Virgil, when all you said Doku on, in my head I was like, please, White, please. In fact, he went on Zinchenko side first, and Zinchenko actually tackled
Yeah.
him. I was like, oh wow, who would have thought? But yeah, I think it's about time we look to move off this game. But I think what was the most important thing for us now was to not just win, but I do think that there were lots of ways that we did show some authority that we belong to be in the same conversations as Euan. Now, obviously, it's gonna take us winning things to really validate those calls, and I totally agree because I do think it is time that Arteta wins again. That we have to be doing more than just hollow victories. But it starts with games like these, where we don't come out at it again and talk about how, Arsenal played really well and got undone by the ref, or just didn't get it over the green here, didn't get it over the green here. You force your luck, bro. Every time that City would I get some late winner, we always just describe it as they force their luck into winning. Same thing with Liverpool. And to get to that point where we putting them in that category because we respect them so much, you need to start it here and stop these hoodoos that you had in the past. And I'm very grateful that I think that we have. So, anybody have anything else they want to say on this game before we move on?
Mm. Nope.
Cool. You know what's the funny thing? I have
What?
a tendency to scream when the games like this. I ain't lying to tell you, when Declan scored against United, I did ball on the place. When Gabriel scored today, though, honestly, all I started to do was just pray. And I was like, okay, you have 4 minutes left here, probably 4 minutes at a time. Olia, please do not choke this. Please do not choke this. I know it's the funny thing. As much as I was thinking it in my head, when you're watching players on the field, they look so unfazed, bro. And it was good to see. Okay, moving on. Since we have him here, and he are 3 wins in a row, my brother. That is 4, 5, 6, 7 goals in 3 games now for Chelsea Football Club. And you're back in the top half of the table, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, I think
with
so.
that one. And only 9 points actually off the top of the table as well. So, how you feeling, Brandon? What was your thoughts? It was a good game. It was a really a good game.
Yeah, so I think in from the Fulham game to this game, we had our two best performances of the season. Well, the Burnley game is I don't want to get too ahead of myself because it is Burnley, and
Yeah.
Burnley has not been very good this season. But at the
Mm,
same time, these are the kind of games that Chelsea have not been winning. We play
mm.
teams that aren't very good, teams that we should beat, and we don't win. And if we do win, we probably win by a goal. But this was a game we won.
Especially after all, you went 1-0 down too, eh?
Yeah, exactly. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, is this gonna be like the typical way we lose again?
Mm,
But that was not the case. And I think we have a lot. We had to put a lot of credit to Sterling. Sterling is the sole reason the attack was so good in that game. And whatever Pochettino told him at halftime, it really worked. Again, Gallagher
mm,
was excellent. Jackson came on and got his goal. Palmer looks
yeah.
like a credible signing so far. He's probably everything that I have been asking for in a player that Chelsea needed. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good. We going into after the international break against Arsenal. So it will be a very interesting game because I think y'all could have used this momentum. So I think the international break is not well timed for you. But I
Yeah,
think for
I
us,
agree. Mm.
for us is exactly the opposite because a lot of our players not going out on international duty. Like,
Actually, a
Oh,
lot of
yeah,
ours
true.
pulled back, dog, which I love, dog. Like
yeah,
Saliba pull out today, Saka pull out today, dog. That was great.
yeah. But I mean, I have a few of them else are going out, right? Like a good few of them.
Yeah, I think the Brazilians going,
And
Ramsdale and
Katia
Ketiah
going,
going. Yeah, and well,
Yeah.
Odegaard does always go. So
yeah,
yeah, no, you're right. No, you are right. Though you are right. Yeah.
yeah. So for Chelsea, it's looking up at the moment. It has not been looking good at all at any point during the season. However, I think now, especially people who have been saying that, well, the underlying metrics say that we eventually this is gonna come good.
All my
Well,
team now. Go on, go on.
not even you boys, everybody is a whole set of Chelsea fans will be saying this, but it that is the case right now, and we reaping the rewards of it. And once we continue to score the goals, I think we will win games because we are very solid defensively. Even though Colwell and Disasi, Thiago Silva have not been up to mark for the past few games, they've been decent for the majority of the season. Very good in the last few games. And look at this Cucurella is playing right back. Like what?
Who would have thought? But
Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? Like
yeah.
I don't even know. Even though he was kind of at fault for the goal against Burnley, but he scored 4 goals. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Are
that
we reaching a place where Enzo and Caicedo,
mhm,
developing a relationship on the field?
yeah. And the most important thing for me was Mudryk scored against Fulham, and everybody was like, "Well, yeah, Mudryk had a start in the next game. He scored. Pochettino didn't start him. He started Sterling instead, and Sterling scored a goal. He got I think it was 2 assists. He
So
was
assist,
involved
yeah,
in the
no, it was
first three
good.
goals. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we need. We need good competition in the team as well. So I only think that's good in the long run.
Yeah, totally agree. I think like what's been the most important thing is where Chelsea are as a team is like they really do need to score when they're on top because they need that belief that sometimes that could run out if your period on top doesn't result in a goal. That then now when momentum swings, that because they have not been accustomed to winning week in week out, that the belief could sometimes slip away, you know. And they are when they have been on top these last 2 games and even the Brighton game in the cup that they have managed to put away chances and slowly the belief will be restored. I agree with you. I hate the fact that we played only right after the international break. That is so stupid that I do not like. Yeah, and I do not like it in the slightest though because that is kind of stupid game that could trip me up and then before I know it, City going on. I don't know, play Luton next week and get through and then
Mm.
go back on top of it though. And I knew with it. Virgil, you have anything to say about this game? Your
I
boy
just
Cole Palmer trying, dog.
nah, but big. I mean, I not expected, and then even for well, for what Ola mentioned, I mean that it is true because I feel like for Chelsea, things fall into place, and it's right now it's not about jumping ahead and getting like reading into and trying to hype it up too much, but like people will say, oh well, Chelsea, they just play Fulham, they just play Burnley, Burnley playing terrible, obviously when they go up against bigger teams, then they go and this is what Chelsea need. These are the games that Chelsea need. Chelsea. I feel like Chelsea sometimes understand. Okay, right now we're not up there in the top four, but we have to make the most of these games. And you saw like how how Pochettino had the team spread out. It had those who score against Fulham, those who get a chances here. Everybody chipping, and right now everybody have that little added piece of motivation, confidence going into the next game. So now
Mm-hmm.
all them now will want to stay their claim when it comes to these big games, come to these games against Arsenal. So I feel like going to the Arsenal game, they have a lot of time now to sit and think about it.
Yeah,
Well, rightly so. A lot of them not going out on international duty and whatnot. But as I say, well, the flip was fast now. But we already talk about them because I honestly, after the loss there, and when I saw I saw Arsenal playing Chelsea next. I was like, this is how it typically going to be. It's literally going to be like that. We lose to whoever, then they go in next week. They lost to whoever, and the cycle just continues. So, but you see, next week, honestly, with considering all factors on both sides, well, not next week. When Chelsea and Arsenal play, considering factors on all sides, that is going to be very entertaining. Oh. Okay, I understand. I understand. But hey, I understand. Well,
Here it is, right? You're saying that, right? But you know how
mm-hmm.
wrong it is? Last year, well, you beat we in the Emirates, and you know what they do the
Yeah,
next game? Take
what's
about
that?
45 shots against Nottingham Forest and draw one all along. So boo you.
I'm telling
Boo
you that
you.
I understand how it works. So that's why I say I see in the signs. I see the signs.
You know what was also consistent in that game to this game, both games for them being ineffective. So,
Yeah.
so here it is, right? I'm gonna ask you a question, right? You're
Mm,
watching the fact that Cole Palmer leave all and shocked, he's very good and he is
mm,
impacting games week in, week out now. And even though like I don't really think any of the assists was like super like oh my god. He's been really good. And the way he's pops up some pockets and show for himself and like I really do like how he takes responsibility in the attack, even more so given the fact like this is the first time he given again so much responsibility as a starter for a club of this stature. You don't like watch Foden and be like how it is like it feels like he is able to hold more responsibility than Foden.
well, you see, I'm not gonna go as far and say because Cole could hold more responsibility if we comparing to Foden. Obviously have more to he have more to deal with compared to Cole. But one thing I'll say about Cole is Cole have that quality, and obviously you know that it just the bad thing about it is just that I know where Cole come from. I know how Cole his progression. Cole literally spent like 2 years literally under Marius. So you know for a fact he have that quality in him.
Real,
So him
real.
coming into this team and obviously getting that chance. Obviously him, because we tried that best to push him to develop him, at the same rate with Foden. Honestly, looking at it now, I'm not surprised, and I just glad that he able to find that part for himself.
Yeah, well, there's no secret that I'm a big fan of Cole Palmer and his talent. The man as well remind me of Alex Leb, like a lot of the way that he plays and this just glide on the field. So yeah, Chelsea 2-2 in the league, 3-3 and all.
Mm-hmm.
And who we thought was dropping points on Saturday but did not was Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
As Brandon has continued to be proven wrong as midfield defensive midfielders are a consistent source of goals.
Mm-hmm.
So, until that point, nothing really was really created in that game, and both goals kind of was similar anyway. Like they just throw everybody forward, and ball reached Mctominay eventually twice. And to be fair, the man doesn't like the man. And if I was a United fan, I probably don't understand. But Maguire had a really good game and then
He
ended
did.
up assisting the winner. Like,
He
give
did.
credit where it's due, dog. But yeah, McTominay, source of goals. So, like, you've been one of the more critical people about this, though. How do you feel then about the fact that, they did get a win, but is this sustainable? Is there more concerns to come?
Well, in
Because, like,
my in
until that point, I think that they had it was 14 shots, and the XG was 0.72, right? So like, let me just guesstimate here. That is roughly 0.07 XG per shot, bro. Like that is really not good.
well, I mean, you looking at it that way. I think this is just proving my point more and more because eventually you'll see that this is not a sustainable way to win
Mm,
games. But at the same time, I I think again every game you see the problem with United. There's a there's a very questionable piece of goalkeeping from Onana. They have to
mm,
come back and they have to try and score goals, and that's just the story of United right now. I think Hoyland didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have a very good game, and the reason
mm,
he didn't have he had a good game is because he is able to do things on his own, so he doesn't need to totally rely on the service, which I think is an important
mm.
aspect for him. Because that's what's going to make him a very good striker at United. Because he doesn't always need to
Especially
have
compared to who
service.
we was talking about earlier, right? Where
Yeah,
like he could actually involve himself in the game more.
yeah. So I don't know, boy. It's just United, just in a state right now where they just I don't know. They just don't score enough for me, boy. And I saw something. I saw something where somebody said that they need to play McTominay more forward, play Casemiro or So they said drop Casemiro, play Amrabat, and play Bruno next to Amrabat. And I was like, you know, that might not be such a bad idea, but at the same time, is it going to work? I don't know. So that
You know what
I
that
don't know.
sound like to me? That sound like real Fellini vibes, you know.
It
Like
does. It really
Fellini
does.
playing off the striker. That sound like
Yeah.
McTominay.
But McTominay is very good at that, and that's the thing.
No,
And
no,
the other part about it
he
is
is.
that he's a
Yeah,
player that you could probably keep in your squad because he gets it. He just gets
yeah.
it. You
He is
know.
the top scorer of the Euros for a reason. Like he does
Yeah.
have good
True.
instincts in an early box, and I think we've said this on this pod before. But for like those who don't know, he was actually a striker in the academy. I mean, it was already was way the transitions for him to go from striker to DM.
Yeah.
But yeah,
John,
I agree.
the last thing I wanted to say, right, is like, remember they brought on Martial as well, right? And in the game, Martial had one very good chance that I think if it was a proper confident number 9, that is in the
He's
back of the
good.
net.
Right.
And he was also involved in the offside one. The offside is neither here nor there, but the one where he
Yeah.
felt him and he was and it was is a shot that we know Martial for, a finesse into the far corner. So and
Mm.
he didn't do that. So I think that was just indicative of the whole point that if United could score more goals, the game would change and it would be much easier for them. And so that
And I
again is
mean,
the whole problem.
you pointed out games where, for the large portions of it, they are only losing by 1 goal, a few times 2 goals. That like, if they just could find more goals and create more chances for the goal scorers in the team, like good chances, then a lot of these problems may not exist. But I think that to me again has to come down to the coach and the structural issues where they aren't finding a means of putting the best goal scorers in positions of scoring good chances or half chances at the very least. Like, we talk about Haaland today, right? But if it's one thing that Pep, and again, Pep is probably the greatest manager of all time, then he manages to put Haaland and Alvarez in positions where they have chances to score week
Hmm.
in, week out. You know, where is that for Rashford and Hoyland now? You know, and then now I still think that there is some acclimatization for Rashford going on too. That he's no longer the main goal scorer. They are looking to him for every chance. There are parts of the game where he is on the periphery because they aren't looking to just find him anymore. It is Star Striker who is going to play around as well. And I do think that he's suffering from a bit of isolation as well in his game. But look, I would definitely be the last person to ever try to criticize a game that you come back late in. It is
Mhm.
immense. However, as Brandon rightly points out, the concerns do linger on. And as we look forward for them, the international break will come and go. And then it's Sheffield. Then they have a must-win game at Copenhagen, and then they have to play Man City and Newcastle back to back. Newcastle admittedly is in the Carabao Cup, which is their Champions League. So it's a very important game. So some big things coming up for them that they really do need to start to find goals because Newcastle do the one thing that I think really does stress United a lot, which is that they do counter press extremely well. And United midfield currently is like a sieve. And if they get counter pressed like that, and then they have Isak who scored twice this weekend, they have Gordon, who I know men have mixed feelings on, they have Barnes, they have Wilson running the other way, then it can be problems. Virgil, you have any thoughts on the game?
Yeah, because honestly, with everything what you mentioned, and obviously just looking at United, it's right now for them, is good. I feel like for with this is not something that you know that you really could celebrate too much, honestly, because of everything. But I don't want to be saying one thing for Chelsea and then saying a different thing for United because it just comes down to how they view it. Because United sometimes it's like to
I thought that
forget.
was the point of this podcast.
Well, yeah, but but the thing is, again, there because I'll always be saying United have to remember that they are a mid-table team. They are not a top team. So similar to like how Chelsea understood that they took advantage of the teams the teams in front of them, and they're building that momentum now to push United. I feel like United that is similar with similar sentiments for them, but in this case there's a lot. It was a lot more than just issues that happen on the table. We had a lot of things that happen in during their other games, and rightly so. There were a lot of this ship for United was a little unsteady, and
Hmm.
obviously this might not fully steady everything, but it's a step in the right direction, honestly. And they could now look. They could
Yeah.
now. they can now look at this, but they could also look at this from a place where they know they have 3 points and they now have a good bit of time now to sit down and work something out. Because after the national break, yeah, you have to make sure you have a great opportunity right in front of you to continue that momentum.
Mm.
So it really comes down to how they decide to respond.
In all seriousness, my concern with it is that, like, and I think United are so culpable of this more than others. Like, they will write off this game and be like, instead of watching it, like, what we did is a one-off, that they would think it's
Yeah,
okay to continue like this. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
like
there's
just
papering over the cracks for sure.
yeah,
nah,
and
yeah.
that they would just continue. He might feel he's literally feel the same 11 next week and task them to play the same way, and that I think is very concerning. However, I want to ask one thing, Sally, before we move on to the Liverpool game, is that this is another game now where we see Onana is a point of contention because even though he was at full stretch, which made it even more hilarious in my eyes, actually,
Mhm.
that he was at point of contention, as I said, right? You know, they conceded. You felt like even though he not necessarily making out and out mistakes he has, you feel like he could be doing more. Is the trade off then now worth it for having somebody who's more predominantly I can't even believe I'm gonna say this, and I feel like if it was in the same room, you might just slap me for saying this, but predominantly a in possession keeper than somebody who's more of a shot stopper. Is the trade off worth it? Because like Gary Neville was going. Look, he was flying with that narrative today, dog, because of the few mistakes. Well, the few close chances, I should say, that Raya had. Dog, he was flying with it, dog. And credit to
Hmm.
Raya, where's you? Dog, the man catch, he really did play well second half. But yeah, Onana, is the trade off worth it?
I don't know if it is, and I guess it depends on the team. But again, the thing that I told you before is that I think that the trade off makes sense if the team scores a lot of goals. Because if you can score 4 goals, you can you can
Concede 2-3.
you could concede 2 or 3, which is, and this is like a good way to get a segue into Liverpool. But that's just how I feel about it, boy. And I don't
Mm,
think, and I have a friend actually, and this is really funny. He's like, boy, he tell me this every week, and as I have a counter for this, as he's saying, boy, I have not seen Onana make a world class save yet. And I was like, I had to think about it when he told me at the start, and I was like, probably hasn't. And since then, we 8 game weeks in, and I have not seen Onana make a world class save.
mm. That's
So
concerning, though.
yeah, and
Like,
because bro, what was David De Gea always known for?
mm.
Making world class saves. And at this point, yet I have not seen Onana make a world class save. So
And I
you
mean,
know,
as a rival, it's real funny to watch to have watched it here over the last few years. But like nobody could have doubted his quality in terms of making those miraculous saves. You know, like I'm not like the man did have a clang in him. I'm not saying no. But like that shot that Brentford score, you feel like they here would have saved that. You would have saved it and you would have hear the commentator say what a miraculous save, whatever, whatever. Because those things genuinely was the man bread and butter. What was the trade off is that he was a pressing trigger for opponents, and once he gets it, they moving and stuff like that. But the reality is though, they were conceding less and United was thriving in nil-nil game states because of the fact that they're a low scoring team. Which is why what is going on now, as Salek is the one who brought it up to me first, is that it is highlighting the goal scored issue even more. That one goal conceded brings them into so much trouble. That a team that has recently signed Hoyland, who I think is given the benefit of the doubt, and rightfully so, because he's looked really well. Like I genuinely am thoroughly impressed with him to the point like I kind of upset. I really wish he just never went there. But they have Rashford now, who's on a 450K a week or something, you know, and he has one goal. So Ben White, dog. To be fair, that was yeah with Ben White, boy. Dog. I could have been sitting here and say zero, but one goal for the season, dog. We have Bruno, who has one open play goal from the season. We have Anthony. We know what's going on with him. We have Mount, who's yet to score this season. Like the fact that their top scorers in all comps is probably actually Casemiro is a huge position of concern, you know? So yeah, moving forward, as you rightfully said, if you have enough goals, bro, you could concede 2 or 3. And Liverpool went away from home to the highest scoring team in the league, mind you. and came out with a draw at 2-all where it looked like they had turned it on its head and that they were probably headed for 3 points, but they got dunked on and the game finished 2-all. So,
Yes.
Brandon, thoughts?
Let Virgil go first, huh?
Virgil, thoughts? I know you love to talk
Oh,
about Liverpool.
yeah, exactly what I know about to start off. I say for me, I just love seeing it have I love seeing it happen, especially from the way Brighton did it, the way that they came back, but all bias aside, it really was is something that I honestly expected because again, you cannot be too hard on Liverpool. Well, if you're looking at it from a Liverpool point of view, you can't be too hard on Liverpool because as you said, they're going up against one of the highest scoring teams in the league. But I was similar for Brighton. Brighton honestly would have felt that from the way that it ended that they could have probably come out and made got a third and snatched the 3 points. But I felt like that was honestly a fair result for both teams, honestly, because it's something that they both could build off on. I feel like something that it still gives a lot of confidence for Brighton, still gives a lot of confidence for Liverpool. So honestly, I feel from everything, it was one of those games that was entertaining, but I really don't feel it says too much in the grand scheme of everything else for the league, honestly.
Yeah. Um, I just would like to say Captain Salah. I was supposed to include that for like Captain Salah this weekend. Spurs hype nothing. Although I did have Madison and Pedro Porro though.
Yeah, so
I'll say that when we
not
talk
get
about
let not
Spurs.
get let not, yeah.
But yeah, the first goal though, I think that kind of also highlights, McAllister is doing a good. He's doing his best, but he's not a six.
Yeah.
And now, to be fair, it's not like if they don't have a six for like a try in the market. But it just shows again that there's a position currently where there is not a heavy supply to meet the demand because they weren't the only ones who wanted a six. Um, Bayern Munich were also after one who didn't get one. So it's not like there are a ton of sixes out there. I mean, the fact that Paulinho was about to move for 90 million kind of shows where the market is right now. But they recovered well. They were on the front foot, and like I said, a late goal by Dunk is how we end up 2-all. Salik, what was your thoughts?
I thought it was a very exciting game from a neutral's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Liverpool find ways to score goals. I feel like I honestly think that this game showed nothing new about Liverpool to me. Like
Yep,
this is
yep.
probably like
Yeah.
everything that's good and bad about them in the same game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, once they show up, the defense they will get a lot better because Van Dijk looks like he's really back to
Yeah.
the best version of what of as what why can't I say this properly? Yes, he's at the best version of himself that he can be right now. And once one of those players is makes a good partnership with him, whether it's Konate or Matip, they will be fine. Trent is now coming back from an injury. They have this fella Kwanzaa who's been really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Salah has a good record against Brighton. He scored again. Soboslai I thought
Oh,
was
this
running the
man is
show.
supposed to be struggling, eh?
Yeah,
He's supposed to be
exactly.
struggling, eh? He has a goal contribution in every single
Every
game week
game.
this season except one, dog,
Yeah,
which was wrongly ruled as offside. Like, insane football player, bro. Overly consistent and insanely good.
yeah.
Yeah,
And again, Soboslai was great too. And he should have had the winning assist. Gravenberg had a chance to win the game, basically
yeah,
to make it. I think it was 3-1. I think it would have been.
yeah.
So I agree with Virgil. I don't think this game really tells us much, and it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. But again, you gotta be wary of it. Liverpool they didn't lose, so you
You know
gotta
what I
still be
would
wary
say?
of them.
I would say that what this game did show me, and I sort of got, genuinely, I'm not saying this from uh like a update perspective of trying to look down on or anything like that. Because again, fully think City can't win the league. That I think this game does show though that they aren't back to being the old Liverpool yet. In fact, if it's anything, they're more back. They seem more similar to like 16, 17 Liverpool, where it was kamikaze games week in week out. Now
Mhm.
the what was the difference last season was the goals just wasn't happening for them. Now the goals are. And I think that would be the difference between them narrowly missing out top four last year to they should, once this continues, be comfy top four. Because eventually they will catch themselves in a defensive sense, and there's always a January window for them to go and use the 90 million they're going to send on Caicedo, on Paulinho, or whoever the hell they want to go and spend it on now. And because I do think that in the past, yeah, they got it wrong versus Spurs. Everything was against them, even the 50-50s, whatever. Fine. I think all Liverpool, as a championship mentality, Liverpool could have rode that. But I think like games like this weekend, once they went 2-1 up, they would have seen it out. And I just think that there's a little difference between where they are right now and pump Liverpool, you know? So, yeah. Anybody have anything else you want to say before we move on to Spurs?
Mhm.
Cool. Nice. Spurs win 1-0. Van der Beek get his first goal. Van der Beek actually said after the game in an interview that Son was telling him he got to score his first goal today. And he actually did. Madison got another assist, which makes him the most assists in the league.
Mhm.
If you know me, I'm not sad because of Spurs player stuff. It's just like invest all the stocks for him to not play for my club.
To
That's,
with our rival as well.
yeah.
Your biggest
That's,
rival.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's so all the time. But whatever. All yeah, I don't know if you all had to watch the game, but dog, this is such an aside. But I bring in Pedro Porro this week, right? On top of bringing in Madison. You know, homeboy hit a as in Pedro Porro, right? This man hit a Travella shot from outside the box, and it went just narrowly past the post. And I just like watched 12 FPL points just swerve by as a the keeper was full stretching that he wouldn't reach it. But it was a game where I think that Liverpool, that Spurs went a man down, rightfully so, because God alone know what Basuma was doing in that game. And I think it's a red flag as a player, dog, that if you use a DM that's supposed to be for a club that's top for quality, that we 8 games into the season and you get 6 yellow cards, bro. That's kind of concerning. But they went a man down. Sablon Hoiberg, who actually was pretty good, I thought. And they managed to get a goal and dealt with the Luton pressure really well. So yeah, I don't really think I'd have that much to talk about the game. I genuinely wanted just to bring up Pedro Porro Trivella shot. And yeah. Anybody want to say anything else before I want to actually talk about Newcastle?
Mhm. I just say how Son go come up against Luton and do nothing? How they go end a game against Luton 1-0?
Son
But
a
anyway,
little hype, bro. That is
but
why I
anyway,
didn't want to bring him in. I captain him in it because I was like, dog, that is the most thing I could have ever think of what happened was the fact that he would not have scored today. However,
mhm,
Newcastle, the reason that I wanted to bring up Newcastle is not so much the fact that they draw 2 all today, which Brandon, I know you kind of feel me on this 2 pause, but I actually think I have to admit that Paqueta is actually having a really good season. Like he had a really good game today, on top of having a good few games, and yeah, I might be getting ready to put up my hands. Alexander Isak scored in quick succession. Well, I say quick succession, 5 minutes apart before conceding a late goal by Kudus, which is the summer signing, right? So yeah, whatever. I didn't really want to talk about this game. However, earlier this week, or rather last week, they hosted PSG at St James's Park. And boy, was that a game, bro. Like, what a way to reintroduce Champions League football to your stadium.
mhm,
Than to take what has been the biggest pretenders of the 2010s and wash them in. The supposed best player in the world made zero notes on the day. And he supposedly would have had an easy task against Trippier or whatever. And wash them, bro. And you're gonna check the score sheet. It's not Wilson. It's not Isak. It's not in the little flashy names that people would say, he could go and play there, he could go and play there. It's players that have been heavily criticized on their route to being back here. Oh, we should replace Dan Burn. Is Fabian Shaw good enough? Almiron Purple, Patch, whatever it is. Who wants to start long staff? And all them men scored up. Um, that was phenomenal from them. And you know what? I did say that I didn't think they'd have come out of this group. However, given that they got that draw away to AC Milan and they did this to PSG, I think that that puts them mentally in a very good space. I think that they could come out of the group.
Mm-hmm.
All you have anything to add to it?
Well, yeah, I feel like no matter what, just looking at that, that's just a fairy tale moment, and it doesn't just feel. And honestly, I feel like fairy tale may not be the right word because it doesn't just feel like okay, this was something that happened, and that's it. It literally feels like from this and everything they see, they get drawn in this group of death. They manage that draw against Milan. They do this upset against PSG. The next game is against Dortmund. I feel like from the motivation they get from this, if they get a win against Dortmund, and they might have enough momentum to go and get another win against Dortmund in game week 4, I feel like that going to set them up. And I feel like for them, just imagine you will be there and you will have all these other so-called bigger teams right now scraping to make it out of the group, and right now you seem like you could be the most comfortable team to to exit that group and qualify for round of 16. It would be
Mm-hmm.
nice to see, honestly. Like, I feel like they have the quality plus they have the motivation from this. I feel like they could. I feel like once they build on this, yeah, Newcastle could shock a lot of people. Honestly.
Yeah. Sound like you have anything to add?
Well, bro, I think that game is everything I love about football. There
Mm-hmm.
is just the whole idea that football is so holistic is exemplified in that game. Because the whole city of Newcastle was celebrating with them. It's like people get to say Mbappe came to St James's Park and he couldn't cut it on a cold night in the Champions League. You have somebody like Dan Burn scoring a goal like that. You have Fabian Schär scoring one of the best Champions League goals I think I ever saw in my life in terms of like how it went in.
Yeah, dog.
Everything that could have gone perfectly for Newcastle that night went as good as it could have gone. I thought Bruno G was fantastic. I thought Anthony
Great,
Gordon
dog.
was excellent.
Mhm.
Trippier again excellent. Longstaff, you know, and you gotta give Eddie Howe a lot of credit. And I guess it kind of says a lot about PSG where they are, but focusing on Newcastle, they have as I say, they have a real good chance to get out if they beat Dortmund in the back to back. They'll have 10 points,
And that
and
should be enough
that
regardless.
should be enough because I
Yeah.
think I think it's head to head now, right? Or is it goal
Yeah. The
difference?
group does be head to head. And
Right,
I
the
mean,
group is head to head, right? So like once they beat Dortmund, they're done. They're done making it sure already.
yeah, because there's no way that I like even based on points, I hardly see a scenario like is it even mathematically possible for you to get 10 points on a come out? Actually, Arsene Wenger used to have us saying that
Yeah,
10.5 points was enough to come out of the Champions League group.
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Huh, yeah. Okay. I was considering just wrapping it up there. But just Champions League stuff. Vinicius came back this week and have 2 goals in 2 games. And we now seeing
Bellingham
Lionel
scored again.
again, bro.
Yeah,
Like
boy, that's kind of crazy.
insanely good footballer. And bro, like I know like there were a lot of like tappings and stuff from him. But like bro, that game against Napoli, bro, talk about being the 100 million midfielder, dog. And I'm more than just that. But talk about the fact that like he played like if you stripped him of how he looked and you made him a plain man, you didn't know who it was. Talk about played exactly how you would have expect Luka Modric to step up and play in that game, though.
Mhm.
Like that is exactly how that he is exemplifying his work on the field right now. And you know what, dog? Maybe later in the season they might find some problems scoring goals. Because the truth is, in the squad, it doesn't feel like there is a lot of sources of goals. And I think that's a very fair thing to level at them. But bro, for now, it definitely is flowing, especially after they win 4-0 this weekend. Hey, I credit where I do again. Joe Salu have a good couple of goals for them already.
Yeah, no,
For Real
was
Madrid.
short him out.
Vinicius has 2 and 2 since he's been back. Judas scoring. They still have men coming off the bench to contribute as well. Because if Joselu starting, that means more like Rodrigo isn't. And Goulet has to come back just now as well. So all these things coming together for them. Barca drew today actually 2-2, but they win in the Champions League 1-0. Through Ferran Torres who come on for Lewandowski. I know, I know Salak real like Ferran Torres too.
That's one way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, the same way like Anthony Gordon now, but, you know.
Yeah. True. The same way. Yeah. Basically.
But they drew today, and Atletico won today, and they won in midweek as well when they won 3-2. Though that was actually it's Bayern won. Bayern win this weekend again. But our win is not enough for them to go top of the Bundesliga because Xabi Alonso boys keep marching on, bro. And like 3-0 seems to be like Xabi Alonso boys like favorite scoreline now because like right through it's 3 goals, it's 3 goals, it's 3 goals,
Mhm.
it's 3 goals. And this is why like certain games, like again, the Arsenal game today, and for what Xabi is doing when they played Bayern, it's so important to come out of those games feeling mentally bigger than the teams that are supposed to be favorites. Because that can supercharge you for a good few while after that. That now, I would hope that Arsenal now goes on the field and feels imperious because they take down the one D1 they couldn't take down for the last few years. And Zabi now, who between them and Leipzig, to me, were the two closest to Bayern this year, no matter what gap it is. They went to the Allianz and probably were better value for them and got a last minute equalizer, came out of there feeling like the bigger side. And since then, it's Bayern who have dropped points and not them. And they've also been undefeated. Well, not just undefeated, they've won all their games in the Europa group stage as well. So, yeah. But PSG win this weekend, but who really cares? And anybody else important? Dog, actually, do y'all know that Olivier Giroud went in
Yeah.
goalless?
Yeah. You wanted the goal. Yeah.
So you had to
And
give Bolivia secure the 3 points first and put
he
them
make
on
a
top.
good save, dog. And yes, AC Milan are now top of the league as well. And AC updated their website this morning and put him on the list on
Giroud in
the
the
first
list. Yeah.
team
That was
banner.
real funny.
That is very, very funny, dog. And well, in the same Syria, Inter drew this weekend.
Yeah.
Um, after y'all won, Juventus won this weekend, and I believe Napoli won as well to bounce back from midweek. Um, Napoli does feel like they're missing something right now. Maybe it could be of what
So,
all has gone on with Osimhen recently,
mm,
but like I think losing Kim has been such a big thing for them as well. Like it was more than just a quality of player, but like the presence he added to the back line. Like, let's be real, right? And you can tell me who was Kim partner for the whole of last year,
nope.
and I think that says a lot. You know, that you don't even know who was the center back partner last year. So I mean, it did take our own goal from a very good shot from Valverde for them to lose to Real Madrid. But it just, kind of feel like if you were hoping that they'd have pushed on, and if it's anybody to me that has pushed towards this last year, despite drawing this weekend, was actually Inter in this area.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we can leave it there, guys. I will finalize what I want us to do next week because it may be something that we split into two. We see how that goes. But yeah, thank you guys for always being here. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for making the time today. Because it wasn't as simple schedule as normal. And yeah, we love you all, and we would like to tell Virgil one more thing.
Oh god. Nah, I also I better keep this
You're
up,
really
you know.
lucky he ain't scored. I'd
No,
have been
I
really
the
much
whole
trouble.
time I just see it. I did because that moments where in the box, I was like, anybody but
Yeah,
this man, please.
for the same of matter, he tried in my head. I said I want him to just spin and shoot it.
Oh yeah, boy.
Okay, cool. We'll leave it there. Catch you guys next time. See you soon. Take it easy. Later.